Like, boys will be boys. Like, why are you doing that? Like, women are taught to be, like, more nurturing from the get-go. We get bought, like, Barbies.
I don't think it's about being taught. I just think that's just the natural order of things.
If that was the natural...
Men are more likely to be risk takers.
That's definitely not true. I feel like, well, not just I think,
true.
I know. If you ever meet a man who is like, oh, it's okay to be aggressive, you know, that's just a boy being a boy. Guess what? They're going to show aggressive patterns in the future versus kids that are taught to like emotionally regulate better. They tend to have like better like long-term outcomes when it comes to emotional regularity. This idea that men are just naturally like more like, you know, like they like to risk more. They like to be violent more. They like to be aggressive more.
Yeah, there are less aggressive societies overall. Like in Japan, there's not as much like violence. Same in China. There's like no violence. Like if I walk down the street at 3 a.m., no one's gonna like follow me.
But isn't it the case if you look at the average, temperamentally, men and women are actually fairly close. But when you start looking at the extremes, you have men that tend to dominate at the extremes.
I thought we were talking about like society in general, though.
Wait, what?
Like, are we not talking about society in general? Like,
when it comes to risk.
Yeah, well, when it comes to risk.
But men are more likely to, for example, I'm pretty sure men are more likely to be entrepreneurs. They're more likely to be business owners, for example. That
They're
typically
more
has
likely
but
to
that's in
attempt
America.
murder and get away with it.
Also work jobs that are more like physically demanding, that have high level of risk involved as well.
I agree with that. And then women work more nurturing jobs. When it comes to like coding, anyone can sit in front of a computer screen and read code. Like that's why the wage gap is closing for those jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it just seems that in a lot of these things where it's like men are more likely to do these things. Well, guess what? Men are more likely to be raised that it's okay taking risks, that they don't have to constantly be aware and like scared of their surroundings.
So you're saying this is like a chicken or egg situation. You're saying that because of the way we've been programmed, this is the way society is, versus us saying that this is the way society is. Therefore, we have created structures that are revolved around human nature and our natural proclivity.
Right. What she says maybe made sense 30, 40, 50 years ago, but now we have girl power. Be a boss babe.
So you're talking about the necessity of feminism back when like we literally couldn't even vote, when we couldn't own property, all of these different things, versus today when we have equality of opportunity.
But
we do, and the equality of outcome doesn't determine whether or not we have the same opportunity.
But it's like our parents couldn't even own property until like the 70s. So I think like wealth disparity wise, like women.
Wait, why couldn't your parents own property until the 70s?
No,
women just solely on their own without being married.
They actually could. They just couldn't be married. Right, exactly, like you said.
I feel like this is such a.
It wasn't the 70s. Wasn't it like the 20s?
No, I mean, for at least credit cards, it was
this
until the 70s.
This is such a feminist talking point. Like, oh, the way I was raised, like I'm just a slave. I'm beholden to.
When did we say we're
okay? Let me finish. Oh, because I was raised this way, I'm not going to be a risk taker. You are not beholden to the way you were raised. Take some accountability. Women have agency. You can move in the world, in the West, however you damn well please. Take accountability.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
you have agency.
I think nobody's saying that women can't take accountability. What they're saying is that obviously, just like every other fucking human being in the world, the way that you're raised affects your actions.
Your environment.
I am sorry to tell you that you're not like this special little snowflake that is immune to environmental characteristics.
Brian, I think you're a special little snowflake.
Thank you very much.
I love to see you fired up like this, by the way. It's so exciting.
I still you haven't really made a convincing argument for the ways in which you don't have rights.
I just like to see her angry. It's great.
Here, let me ask you a question. Do you think, because I'm a male, do you think I'm privileged because I'm a male?
I think there's certain ways that you're privileged and certain ways that you're oppressed.
Because I'm a male?
I think men definitely have some ways that they're oppressed. 100%.
Do you think male privilege is superior to female privilege? Maybe superior is not the right word. Provides more privilege than female privilege?
White male.
Overall.
I don't know.
White male.
I will say that.
I'm not sure how you would quantify.
These white, cis, heterosexual men ruining society.
If a society is built by white men, then the rules are to your favor, of course. If you're
society was built by white
here in
men.
America, if you're in China, you're not gonna have as much privileges. No.
I mean, but times are changing. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think
and you're bigger. You can beat up any of us at this table.
Donated $99. Hodert, If the wage gap did exist and women are getting paid less, why wouldn't companies just hire exclusively women, since it would be more cost effective?
Yeah, you could just...
Because they're seen as less effective. It's like, why would you if you had 2 employees, one costed a little bit more, but you think they're doing A+ work versus an employee, you could pay them less, but they're doing like C work. Who are you going to hire?
So you're saying that women do C-level work?
Yeah, I'm saying that
they assume it.
They assume that women are doing C-level work. That's a problem.
It's just in their perception. It has nothing to do
with their results.
With the result.
And the
A
resume.
lot of times,
if you
yeah.
remove the name
a lot
and
of
just
times,
look at the resume, they do hire
That's
way more
studies.
women.
But that doesn't
Bogus.
even
Bogus.
work when you talk about like companies that have had like many years of practice with DEI, because that doesn't just include first hires. That includes all of the people who work
And that's why the wage gap is closing, because
Thank
people
you,
are
Bender, by the
realizing
way.
that women can be just as capable, but slowly. But the CEOs are all like boomers, they're still like 60
takes
years
time
old.
for
No, they're
It takes
literally financially incentivized to hire.
Yeah,
women
and that's why
with
it is slowly
ESG.
closing, because before
Probably
they
also, not every
assumed-
company is ESG. Like, there's tons of companies.
Literally
Wait,
every
wait.
That is
company
so not
is-
true.
Here,
We can search up
let's-
a statistic
let me-
about how
let me
many
come
ESG
back. Let me
companies
come back
are out
to
there
let me
versus
come back to what
none.
we're talking about. Okay, so let's talk about male privilege, right? So, do you think male
I'd rather
privilege?
talk about male oppression. I'm sorry.
Okay, but do you think male privilege provides more privilege than female privilege?
It depends on what context or area you're talking about, right?
In general, like just
I hate when people are like in general. Like,
Yes,
there
in
is
general.
no, like that. I'm sorry, world is not black and white. It's not simple. You have to look at things in certain contexts. So I think
not necessarily.
Okay. Well, we'll agree to disagree on this.
Is
Okay, wait, can I ask
systematic
you a question?
oppression not a thing? Like, do we not
Systematic.
believe
They
in
don't believe
that
it.
at
I
all?
think males are systematically oppressed in this country, but I don't think women are.
As far- I'm talking
I
about
think
my
that
people
if
of
any
color.
one of us try to jump you, you can beat us up.
Hold
And
on.
that is a privilege.
Going way back.
Wait, that's not a privilege. That's just a biological reality.
But that's a privilege. The biological reality is a privilege, right? That you can do that.
How are you defining privilege,
I mean,
Brian?
it would be
Yeah.
a privilege if they were able to use that to like
Then
get
we
one up
couldn't-
on you in a situation. But if you're
For
coming
that-
at somebody, though, then like that's not a privilege.
But you can come at me and I will be defeated.
A privilege
Absolutely.
implies
I will
like
defeat
any of us.
you.
Yeah.
I
No, I'm
will
saying like if
defeat
you
you in
chose to be
hand-to-hand
violent,
combat.
then you can be
Dude,
majority of
Flam
women.
Life, thank you
So
very
that
much.
is a privilege, just like
Yo, Flam
physically.
Life. W's in the
So
chat for Flam
That's
Life.
just biological,
Thank you, man.
physical stuff.
I don't know if
Is that not a
I don't know
privilege?
if I see that as a privilege either.
when
Really?
I,
If you can like physically take over if someone broke into your house, like as women, if I live
I
by
think that's just
myself.
a reality.
Wait,
A
how are you
So is that
defining
not a
privilege?
privilege?
like I think
Reality
when we're,
can't
hold
be a
on.
privilege.
I think when we're talking about privilege, we're talking about things that are either bestowed to us, or that like a right bestowed to us by
Right.
the government or society,
That's just a social thing.
like
I
a
think it's a
societal based thing
I think
that
it's
is
a
granted to
societal
you.
based thing that's granted to you, that you can absolutely choose to beat up any woman and they
Wait,
cannot
what?
defeat you.
No, that's just
That's just
biological
biologically,
reality.
and also he would be
But that's not a-
prosecuted. Like the societal result would be his prosecution.
Yeah, but if I chose to do that, I can't beat you up. I
Because
was still
Well-
prosecuted.
it has nothing to do with society or
Okay.
government rules.
Well,
it has
I-
to do with biology.
Okay, so it's only systemic and it's only government.
Right.
So biological privileges don't count.
Well, do you want to? When you say the word
'Cause
privilege,
when it comes to
when you
women-
say the word privilege, you're implying something that you want to get rid of. Like we don't want some people to be privileged and other people to be not privileged. And so when you're talking about like, oh, he's more privileged because he's biologically bigger, that's not something that we could like
Yeah, we
strive
can't
as
really
a
tackle
society.
that.
I want everybody
So
to
do you
be
believe in like
privileged,
pretty
so-
privilege? That's
yeah, like
biological
are we
too.
striving as a society to get rid of pretty people then?
No,
We're
no, it's
are we
not getting
striving
rid
Yes.
of.
as a-
Yes.
No, but I think
Yes, bitch.
No,
fix your
I'm saying
face.
there are certain privileges that are biological, and I don't know why we discount those, but then only count the ones that are social.
Well,
Because
I think pretty privilege is bullshit, and honestly, like I mean, to a degree, for sure, you can get ahead. But I honestly, personally, there's people who've told me I'm only good at high ticket sales because of how I look, and I'm like, well, actually,
Well,
didn't
they're
ha-
discounting
I'm like,
you on
well, actually, I
purpose.
didn't have a camera on the whole time. It's only via phone. They're like,
But-
oh, well, it's because of your accent. It's
I
like
mean-
people will
I mean-
always do whatever they can to discredit your actual value based off the.
I agree with
obvious
what you're
Do you think
characteristics.
arguing,
guys are
but
ever
I do
discredited
think it
based
still
on
exists.
Hold on,
how
hold on,
attractive
one-
they are?
But I do think that if you're like a really attractive person, whether you're a man or a woman, you're gonna be able to maneuver through life a little easier.
For
Yeah,
sure, but
that's why we want
also
to
got
have
shit
kids.
on
So are they
too.
saying do men have privilege based off the fact that if a woman came at you? Like, no, that's not privilege. It's a biological fact and it's a reality. I think that those things are very
Okay, so
distinct.
all
suppose-
biological facts are not
Okay,
privileges.
so
Right.
let's okay,
if
so
we discount
let's
all,
talk. Let's change the wording to advantage. Are men advantaged when it comes to physical strength because of biology? Yes.
yeah.
Is it a? I think though when we're thinking of privilege, we're thinking like because, for example, pretty privilege. It's not just the fact that you're physically attractive, but the benefits that that's going to reap. That the benefits that you're going to be able to reap in the workplace, in romantic relationships, how people are going to treat you. So it's like an external thing. And I guess
So you have more privilege than
I have to
someone
think
who
about
is
this.
like
Do you think
5'3",
pretty
right?
privilege, do you think that's different to the what she's talking about, the so-called male privilege?
I think
The
it's the
biological
same.
They're
advantage.
biological facts, both of them. How are
Yeah.
they distinct?
What do you mean? I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to.
He's
think.
he's
Yeah,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
it. Take some time. Take some time. Take some time, Brian.
The hamster wheel is fucking that's 4 hours deep in
Put
the
on a little
podcast.
How long
mathematical
have we been-
thing.
Wait, okay, so Piximus Maximus.
I don't like
I
how you
love all
call
his
me
names
that.
for you.
No,
The main
it makes me.
protagonist.
Wait, I have a
It
question.
makes me sound like a pick me. Like
Pix-
Wait,
Aw, no.
So, males got more privilege.
in
because they're
certain
male.
ways.
Wait, I have a question. Okay, so
Disavow.
you know the show Handmaid's Tale, right? The whole thing
Yeah.
is like, wow, they're having their kids taken from them. Like that's the horrible part of the show. And now there's other parts of the show that show women's oppression, which is supposed to be horrific, like the essay and stuff. But we all kind of agree as people watching, the most horrific thing is the women getting taken away. The one difference between men and women legality in society is women have the right to murder men's babies, but men don't have any right to keep their baby if a woman wants to murder it.
Yeah,
That
men
is
don't have the
literally-
right of another person's bodily autonomy. Men do not have the
including
right.
their own children.
Yeah, no, you do not have a right
Wild.
to tell a woman
Yeah, that's
how
so
her
true.
internal organs are gonna function.
It's not
And
her
they don't-
internal
Yes,
organ,
it
it's
is.
his
It is literally
baby.
your blood, your lungs, your everything
And
is
so if-
keeping this, thing.
But
It
it
could be a
takes-
baby eventually alive.
But it's
you
still
do
a
not have a right to
baby.
tell another person, hey, you have to keep this other human being alive.
Wait,
I
so
mean,
you
it
guys
comes-
will only sleep with someone you would
Wait,
absolutely
this
100%
is-
have a baby with, like, and raise it to 18.
Wait.
I would not risk unprotected sex, no, with somebody who I
Nair.
wouldn't.
You know, 1 in 10 people on the pill get pregnant, and you would just keep it.
I actually have never taken the pill personally. So what you're saying is people can take the pill and then they get pregnant, is what you're saying still.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks. But personally, from my ideals, I'm very, very pro-life at the end of the day.
Gotcha.
I think that where a lot of the disparity comes from is, okay, where does life start? And a lot of people are like, okay, it starts from when the baby's first made. Some people are like, no, it's 28 weeks. Some people believe it's this or that. I think all of us believe it's wrong to take a life. I think the disparity is where does that life start? And I believe it starts from inception, when the latches onto the egg and she fucking starts to...
Okay,
Yeah,
let's,
you
let's move.
also-
Let's move away from abortion.